The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What's that? It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth! What a comeback! Watson. Touchdown!
Hunter Renfrow. Little man makes another enormous play. 1 second remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max, as we have just about, I want to say, an hour and a half from the Monday Night Football game concluding here, and what a thriller it was, coming down to some bonehead decisions and some other penalties and other things happening with the Seahawks and Falcons. The Falcons win by 34-31 and now take the lead in the second wildcard spot due to the head-to-head over the Falcons now. And, you know, they gave a little life to some of the other teams. So there's only one team that's 7-3 right now in that wildcard race. So I guess that's good for the NFC. But, yeah, interesting. This game certainly felt like it could be another one of those where the Falcons could blow it. And then a yard short on a field goal kick by Blair Walsh, of all people. And the Seahawks cannot get the tie to send it into overtime.
Blair, Pete, both of you had one job. Just one job. One job.
To be fair, a 52-yard field goal is not a chip shot.
That's why I'm not entirely blaming him, but if a certain gum-chewing head coach decided to kick a field goal at the half rather than go for a fake, it's a much different game.
Yeah, that one I will never understand. He doesn't make any amends for it. I guess that's fine. I mean, he's like Belichick, and that he's not gonna make amends for, oh well, now I shouldn't have done that in hindsight or whatever. It's like, I get you see that in the film, but it's just like, this is the end of the half that we're talking about. This is not the end of the game and you need a touchdown. This is not, oh, we're down by like 15 and like it's a play that's gonna work. Like, I don't get it. It's a 35-yard field goal. Take the 3 points. You never know when you're going to need the points. You know how your team is, where they can make big strides quickly. I just do not understand. And then Luke Wilson, of all people, a freaking slow tight end. It'd been different if you did it to you gave it to Lockett or Richardson or something like that. Like, that's, wow.
Yeah, I mean, for someone, and especially trying to run laterally right into the gap, where the lineman and head coach Dan Quinn said, hey, watch out for some sort of a fake. So, lineman right on that front row, wide open, boom, easy tackle before the play even develops. I don't know even if someone like Lockett or Richardson could have made that fast enough, because the gap was only there for a split second.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, he read that really well. that all came down to, was it Jarrett? Yeah, Grady Jarrett just making that play, and it doesn't matter who would have been there. Tyreek Hill, who cares? That he wouldn't have made that play because he'd already read it. He'd already beat his block. He was right there, and that's on them for coming up with that. But look, I guess you could say things are different. I guess maybe if you have those extra 3 points or whatever. But it comes down to those 3 points. Your team got to position, and you went and scored on a ridiculous, like the 75-yard drive they did before to get it close, where Doug Baldwin basically walks in because nobody was even near him when he caught the ball. And then you're able to get the big stop to give yourself a chance again, and it's Blair Walsh missing that field goal. It's just like airballing it right underneath, like, man.
And what was really weird was after the big run to get really the first down and get closer, you have 7 seconds left. They were initially thinking about maybe running a quick play to the sidelines, getting those few extra yards, and then you had John Gruden saying, no, you bring Blair Walsh out now, and it's just...
Well, yeah, he should have went with his gut, right? Just go ahead and run the play. If you lose on running the play, you look even stupider, or more stupid because you at least could have, hit the field goal, and you never know. But, yeah, I mean, 2012 Blair Walsh to 2017 Blair Walsh, that's 5 years older. That's 5 years more for your leg to get weaker. And they did say his season high was 49. So.
Yeah, and I think they should have bet on that rather than his career long being 50.
I mean, but during the entire that entire drive, what are you doing throwing these little 5-yard dink passes in the middle of the field? There's nothing to the outside ever. I mean, I just didn't understand it. Like, everybody else that runs that 2-minute offense, you're throwing those little out passes to the outside, making sure the people get out. Like, yeah, I just didn't understand that. Like,
I mean, what I would say was if they went back to the drive previously, they figured they were a little bit more tight up the middle, so even in their deeper passes, their deeper routes, they were softer outside. So Pete Carroll, Darrell Bevell figured, okay, Arizona's going to have their corners out wider, protect those outside, and give everything up in the middle of the field, which to an extent they did. But if you're going to go to the middle of the field in that situation, you have to go at least one shot.
And you have to go a little bit deeper than 5 yards here, 5 yards there.
Absolutely. 10, 12-yard routes that you run up, try to clock it, and figure out what to do next.
Yeah, it just... I mean, you got to give Seahawks credit. Like, Russell Wilson made some incredible plays again, running around and doing his thing, and they did everything that you're used to seeing with the Seahawks now this year and for multiple years. The defense isn't keeping it together, especially with the loss of Chancellor now as well, not to mention Sherman. You're playing a bunch of guys in Jeremy Lane and McDougal, and I thought they held it together well enough. Just, man, that's...
There's a lot more questions than answers, especially from this team now. And although they're in the playoff hunt still, at 6-4, I think the window is tonight. The window officially closed for Seattle.
Oh well, they can still win the division.
Well,
the Rams just lost. I mean,
yeah, they can
play the Rams again.
they can still win the division, but as far as being one of the elite teams, being one of those major contenders in the NFC, no, that window's closed.
Yeah, I mean, that final drive where you sack Ryan to make sure he doesn't get the first down, I mean, that was your first sack of the night, the most important one you had to have.
Mm-hmm.
The review that puts Coleman like an inch short and causes them to have to go for the field goal. I mean, you had so much go your way if you're the Seahawks there in that fourth quarter, and then for you not to at least force overtime was just, that's got to be heartbreaking, I think. Like you said, this is a team that's full of veterans. They're going to pull it up for the next game or whatever, but that's just got to be rough when you're having to overcome dumb coaching decisions. Over 100 yards of penalties? That's ridiculous. Should not be happening. I mean, you had what helped them a lot too as well was that's the thing I didn't understand either, is you're coming off where you got a lucky mistake by the punt returner or the kick returner.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to put that into a touchdown off a 4th and goal that you went for after you couldn't get a yard between Lacey and Davis. And then you go and force them to kick another field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the half, you do that stupid fake. And you could have erased the 3 points that they got to go into the half. It just doesn't make sense to me, but Seattle also had the strip sack where Claiborne got it and he got the touchdown. So, each team had a turnover go for a score. You also had Jimmy Graham drop that TD in the end zone that touched his hands and he didn't come down with it. To me, this just came down to moments for this game.
It really did, and now it's a question of, can the Falcons really use this as momentum going into their next couple of weeks? Because all of a sudden, now you're a game back of the Panthers, 2 back of the Saints, with 5 divisional games remaining in your last 6. Can the Falcons really prove that there's no hangover anymore?
I wonder that, yeah, because this would have been a much different game.
Mm-hmm.
Had we had Seattle gone and forced overtime and Navy won.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would have been talking about, here's another game that the Falcons blew after they were leading by a significant amount. And off of mistakes and bad penalties and other things, I mean, you got to win these close ones, right? That's 2 in a row that, you went and beat the Cowboys badly in the second half, and then you come in here into Seattle, they're missing guys, and you almost lose it, but you go ahead and win. I think that, like you said, it gives them a lot of momentum, and you've got a lot of divisional games left. I mean, 2 of these teams are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay is what it is, and what happened this week doesn't make me change that thought at all. But yeah, I think you got to commend the Falcons for they put up the points in this game. I mean, normally we've seen them where they don't score 30 and they don't play that well. They put up the points in this game. Seattle had to try really hard to get back into it. They did. And just Falcons were able to escape, and sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah, that's really exactly what you need, that extra bit of adversity. And I don't know. This is definitely making for a more compelling sort of a run-in to the end of the season, but I don't know. This is just one of those games to where, even if somehow both of these teams make it in, or one is in, one is out, this is a pretty significant asterisk.
Right, yeah, because they'll have the head-to-head with each other, and the Falcons will get that based on this game here. So, that's why these NFC games are important. Just like when the Cowboys play the Seahawks later, or anybody that plays the Seahawks later, you play the Rams later, you play the Saints later. Those are all going to matter. So that's why these are important. And speaking of, I guess this game wasn't that important. It was sort of important for the Bengals, who are trying to, I guess, keep up in what you can call it a playoff race for the 2 wildcard spots with really bad teams. The Bengals are able to get past the Broncos, and the Broncos played badly enough on offense to where Mike McCoy, former Chargers coach, relieved of his duties as Broncos offensive coordinator.
I called this upset as the Broncos were a 2.5-point favorite. And this just shows that Osweiler's time in the NFL might be drawing to a very quick and abrupt close.
The Bengals' first win in Denver since 1975.
And the first time they've won outside of the state of Ohio in over a year and a half.
Amazing.
Yeah. You don't play this bad and get 2 coordinators fired and you still keep a job. You don't.
Vance Joseph needs to be careful.
Very, very careful. And again, Osweiler, one of those 2 men is going to have a job next season. It depends on which one.
To be fair, Denver did put it within a touchdown, or within 3 points, with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But it wasn't enough. And Osweiler should have been doing that more often in this game. Paxton Lynch was active, but we'll see if he plays next week or anything. But excuse the dog, who apparently doesn't get the gesture of I'm trying to get him to stop, and he does not listen at all. I'm throwing stuff at him, and he still keeps going. So yeah, I think a lot of people were saying, hey, here's Andy Dalton, what's going on? At one point, you have to think if Marvin Lewis is going to bench him. This Denver defense is being absolutely wasted by this lack of. I mean, Denver gets 341 total yards, but they also get 2 turnovers, and it feels like doesn't matter what they do, it's pointless, because right now I feel like this defense is being hurt, and Elway's calling them soft. Of course, the defense takes issue with that. But you think that Elway's right here?
I don't necessarily even think it's an issue of the defense or being soft. I think it's more the offense. And again, I point back to Osweiler. Now, I don't know if Vance Joseph is not toughening up certain players like he should. I'm not in that locker room. It's very hard to say, but it's one of those situations to where I get the general message. I just think it's not quite the best delivery of it.
So Sorry about that. I have no idea where that is coming from at all here. So let me read you some quotes here from some of the players and the coach as well. Vance Joseph said he was taken aback a little bit by it, but he feels like in some aspects Elway's right. I mean, it's not like Elway's some dude that's never played football. This is a Hall of Famer, a two-time Super Bowl champion. He knows what he's doing here. He knows there's a motivation factor that could come from this, because immediately Von Miller, there ain't nothing soft about me. He says, but if you just take a look at it, the truth is what we've been putting out there, that type of team we develop into, that where we are, that's the truth. He was telling the truth. Brandon Marshall also got mad about it. He said there's nobody soft on this team. We work our asses off. We go out there and give 100% every game. And Chris Harris says there's ain't nothing soft in my bones. I mean, sure, look, these are Super Bowl winning guys that are out here giving it their all on their end, but you got to look at it and you got to say that that defense didn't put up the fight that even we've seen them do in other games. Andy Dalton shouldn't go out there throwing 3 touchdowns on this defense. I get it that the offense is committing turnovers and giving Cincinnati opportunities they shouldn't get, but it goes on both ends, right? The offense is wasting the defense away.
Absolutely, and the fact that even if you have a bad day on defense, even if Andy Dalton has a day like he had and so did A.J. Green, you'd expect your offense to at least be a little bit more motivated and put together something of a performance to where you can at least have a chance and get a stop and win the game. Yes, in this sense, they did, but then you go ahead and you squander that chance horrifically, so it's like, ugh.
Yep, that's pretty much been the Broncos' season this year, honestly. And stupid. Once again, these things just play, but I hate these. I'll be so glad when Chrome starts the "we are killing autoplay" on
When
these
it's
things.
counting down.
Because it is such a pain in the ass when you're trying to just get some help sometimes on statistics or whatever. Because, hey, you know what? Doesn't matter what somebody says, you're not going to remember all these. And yeah, but look, the Broncos have been awful this season. It doesn't matter whether it's Osweiler, Simeon. They had that 2-game stretch at the beginning where everybody was talking about them. Then all of a sudden it went absolutely downhill. And you could make the same correlation with the Chiefs. They were flying high, 5-0. And now they're 6-4. They're winning this division because everybody else in the division is just awful or such a week-to-week proposition like the Chargers are. It's a 12-9 game. They even had to go to overtime.
Yes.
And the Giants come up with the win. This defense has been, it seems like every game continually, they have been getting more and more and more porous. They're letting them just go through. The offense is getting more and more cute every single time. I get it that people are starting to figure out your big plays and stuff, but you don't want to turn Alex Smith back into the hole. Let's throw it 5 yards here, 5 yards here, 5 yards here guy. That obviously hasn't worked for you.
And you talk about wasting things. Why is Kareem Hunt only getting 11, 12, 15 carries a game and Alex Smith is throwing 40 times? That's not what got you to 5-0. That's not what's going to help you rebound and try to win a division.
Yeah, and if Alex Smith is throwing 40 times, what's he going to do? He's going to throw those 2. He's more likely to throw those 2 interceptions because he's throwing so many times. You were never in a position where you had to throw. It was 12-9.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like the Giants were up 15. You could have run the ball at any point in this game. It makes no sense to me what the Chiefs are trying to do. You're going to wind up wasting these games away against opposition that you should be beating and beating handily, like the Giants. I don't know about the Bills when, they don't try to trot out a rookie out there like idiots. But this is a Giants team that's been down almost the whole season. Yeah, they went in the locker room and had this tough talk with each other and all this whatever, but that's just sad to me what this game was. For the Chiefs, you got to give it to the Giants, I guess, for toughing it out and winning. But this could be one of those that comes to haunt you, even if you sneak into the playoffs. It's still coming to haunt you.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the LA Chargers are coming on strong, but they have to win a couple key road games to really bring in that division race. It's Kansas City's really still to lose, but even if you go win, are you going to live with another season of being one and done?
Oops.
As a 3 or 4 seed with
Yeah, I couldn't hear most of that at all. There was you cutting out and things like that. Sorry for all technical difficulties. Apparently Skype is just being awful. I don't know if Discord works on your tablet. You might have to start considering that. Skype's just being a pain.
Oh, between Skype and issues I've been having with the internet and Xfinity, the Google Fiber needs to hurry up and get here. Because, I mean, come on now. But
Exactly.
But what I was saying was, with the 5-0 start, how are you going to feel going to the playoffs and being one and done as a 3 or 4 seed with this kind of a great racing out of the gate and just limping across the finish line over the last 11, 12 weeks?
The good thing for the Chiefs is that there's only really 2 superpowers in the AFC and everybody else is kind of the same. So the chances are of them not making the playoffs is pretty slim. They're just too good of a team. I can't see them just completely imploding. But yeah, I feel like you got to get more pragmatic. You got to run the ball more with Hunt. This defense needs to step it up. I get it that you've lost Eric Berry and you've lost other players. But, I mean, I feel like even during that win streak when they lost players, they were still playing well. And they just slowly degraded, it seems like, every game. So, and this game, I think, was just more of okay, this is 2 teams that play really good defense. And it was just going back and forth here, and the Giants won out. But yeah, just gotta improve. And when you've got these games where you're playing lesser competition, you can't play down to them. You have to play better than them. And the Lions went into Soldier Field and came out with a win after Trubisky and the Bears offense were able to get it down and get a tying field goal. Connor Barth absolutely shanks it.
Yep.
Absolutely just not even close, and he has been fired.
Yep.
Cairo Santos, the kicker that was, he unfortunately got hurt, and then Harrison Butker came on and did what he's done for the Chiefs. He got let go. The Bears have now signed Santos. I don't think you can. What happened with Barth, you can't really excuse it all. That was just awful.
No, you really can't come back from that. It is a very deflating for a team trying to win a big divisional game, very deflating for a rookie quarterback trying to get a significant game-tying drive. I mean, everything that had to go your way pretty much did up until that final play.
Yep. I mean, you had Trubisky run for it on a 4th and 13, and that's what got them into that spot. It's like the Seattle one. It's like you count on a kicker to do
Mm-hmm.
these things. And I know these kicks are not easy, but it's just, man, that's got to feel really bad when you've done everything you can. They had, at first, it looked like Chicago was going to control Stafford for a while. He finally got it going. But still, for the Bears to compete all the way to the end like that and then you lose that way, it's just, again, got to be disheartening as a team. And I mean, it's sort of the Lions once again keep pace. Though if the Vikings keep winning, it's not going to really matter. But you've got a big game on Thanksgiving that can turn the tide, certainly, in the Lions' favor a bit if they get the win.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having this big divisional matchup. And I believe, because I know it's Thanksgiving tradition, that Detroit plays at home. So that's an even bigger plus. Getting a home win, and really this would mean, in essence, 2 in the standings. So, yeah, you're in prime position. See what Matthew Stafford can do. Kind of keep the Thanksgiving train rolling that he's started since he's come to Detroit.
And, yeah, I'm going to take a fork in the road here just because I, as a former Cowboy, hearing the news this morning about Terry Glenn passing in Texas from a car crash. He was only 43. Watched him for many years play for the Cowboys, going to the stadium. He was one of the guys you could count on, really. And then all those years for the Patriots as well, and the Packers, at Ohio State too. Just sad news. Sad news for Terry Glenn.
Very sad and a very tragic ending to not just someone who had a very good career, caught Tom Brady's first ever touchdown pass, and someone who was really having something of a good life after football. And to hear about it ending this way, it's very sad.
Yeah, condolences go to his family. His wife survived the car crash and is in ICU. So, I mean, hopefully she makes a full recovery, but sad to see that he got flung from the car and did not make it. Just awful. But, yeah, we have to kind of move on from this. I just kind of all of a sudden just felt like we needed to get this out there because I forgot to say it at the beginning. But, yeah, you will be missed, Mr. Glenn. And so many players came out and showed support for him and everything. So I think that tells you everything right there for the man. But, yeah, I mean, going back to the Lions, I mean, I feel like Matt Stafford, he's been on fire, 21 to 31, threw multiple touchdowns. The Lions defense was letting Jordan Howard have his way, but I think it was just a big team effort. Once again, the team comes up with defensive touchdowns. and everything else. So, one defense to another, having to play on that Thursday game is going to be very important for both teams, and also just to make a showing in the NFC North, who's going to be that lead dog. And speaking of, the Vikings had one of the hot matchups coming in, because there's a lot of matchups with two teams that are kind of just, meh, or one team's clearly better than the other. But this was a team, two teams with the same record going against each other, Vikings and Rams. Vikings come in, and Case Keenum once again looks good. Adam Thielen helped with that, of course. The 65-yard touchdown that pretty much sealed it. Big day for Adam Thielen. But and then you got the Vikings defense doing their end, forcing a fumble for Cooper Kupp on the goal line. You can't be making those kind of mistakes right there when every point matters for the Rams. But I think this is the team that Mike Zimmer always wanted, and he puts another nail in that Teddy Bridgewater not coming out of the bench.
Yeah, Kingdom, as you said, another great performance, kind of solidifying, and it's going to be quite interesting because now, potentially, Sam Bradford could find himself as the odd man out going into 2018. And on top of that, when you hold the highest scoring offense in football to 7 points, you're a major contender. Major contender. Now, I'm not hyping them up too much because of playoff track record, but you notch a big win like this to get to 8-2, you're starting to separate yourself a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. I think, and I mean, you want to keep pace with New Orleans for the, those buys and everything else, and the Eagles, and so those wins are going to matter for the Vikings if that's what you want to do. The Rams really can't afford to be losing too many, because it's not like the Seahawks are, they got to play each other again, and all it takes is you're in the wild card, and it's a different proposition for them. Right now. So that's just something to keep your eye out on, as far as if this is an anomaly facing the Vikings, or if this is something that continues, because the Rams have some tough games coming up. So nothing is easy or guaranteed, but this is where you prove it, right? You're playing the teams that you're going to play in the playoffs, and so far you're 0-1. The other big matchup was the Saints and Redskins. That one lived up to everything you wanted it to be. The Redskins had a lead. The Saints had to come storming back thanks to Drew Brees throwing some key touchdowns. I mean, this was vintage Drew Brees here in this game. I mean, so, whatever you want to say about the running game being what powers this team, and it certainly did. Mark Ingram was just absolutely a force in this game here. And then Alvin Kamara catching that juggle touchdown to put them where they were. I think it said a lot for this team to come back from what they had to deal with. Now the Redskins get it just absolutely terrible news in that Chris Thompson, their versatile and very important part of their offense, is fractured his fibula. He's pretty much out for the year. Just another guy going down in the sea of guys going down for this. The Saints also lose defensive end Alex Okafor with a torn Achilles. He's out for the season. Just two guys going out, and this Saints defense doesn't need to take any more hits, honestly. So,
well, it's a little bit of an injury with New Orleans, but I would not call this a Pyrrhic victory by any means. Drew Brees has shown that even though he's getting up there and has been in the NFL a very long time, he's still got it. And Kirk Cousins shows why the Redskins are not going to pay him this offseason.
I don't know about that. I thought Kirk Cousins did pretty well in this game.
He did pretty well, but at the same time, their offense was in a position a couple of times to salt away the game. They didn't.
Yeah, I mean, the dumb intentional grounding call, that was kind of, could have been. They didn't manage the clock all that well. That's not always a clear-cut thing, whether that's the quarterback or the coach. But I thought for the most part, until that last bit, he played really well, kept the team in it. You know, on a day where the defense was not always there for the Redskins, I just don't think you could put this loss on Cousins necessarily. I think this is more about the Saints. The Saints wanted it more. Drew Brees was having a heck of a game. He goes 11 for 11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the defense isn't stopping that, what do you do in there? I mean, you're letting Mark Ingram go 51 yards on 2 different carries. It's amazing to me. At the end, when you got to have it, how decimated that Redskins defense looked. So I think you got to give it to the Saints for 8 in a row.
Yeah, first team in the modern era to start 0-2 and then win 8 in a row. They're on fire, and this is reminding me quite a bit of that team that won the Super Bowl. So, just saying, this is another obstacle. Whoever's going to come out of the NFC, they're going to be beat to crap come Super Bowl time. Because there's way too many good teams.
Yeah, you're going to have to go through a lot of good teams, and you will have earned it, whoever comes out of there, but you're not going to. It's almost like what, they say whoever comes out of the West is going to be beaten up in basketball, or it used to be that way before the Warriors came and just dominated everyone. That same thing is going to be what it is for the NFC. But we have a NFC and AFC divisional matchup, the Florida game, Buccaneers and Dolphins, the makeup from Week 1. Jay Cutler looked awful until he went out with a concussion protocol, throwing 3 interceptions. Matt Moore comes in and leads them to touchdown drives with Landry and Stills getting them. You had Mike Evans come back for Ryan Fitzpatrick and company. He played well. This is one of those times where I think you had the Dolphins defense play okay, and then just the offense is so lackluster until Matt Moore comes in, and I think it was just too little too late.
Yeah, it really doesn't help that Cutler went out and went through concussion protocol, but this was
I don't know that it hurts. It's not like he's been great this season or anything.
It doesn't hurt, because let's face it, the man was not setting the world on fire, but this was just ugly.
Yeah.
A very ugly game.
But you expected it to be tough with the two Florida teams, and Dolphins have kind of played that way the whole year, and so have the Broncos, and so have the Buccaneers.
That's exactly why they're both 4-6. So I'm not terribly surprised.
But the Dolphins, I think, to their credit for coming back, but just this has just been too much of an up and down year. When I know you take the big hit of Tannehill going down, and you didn't expect that, and now you're having to deal with Cutler and more, but it's just. I think you kind of just need to stick with Matt Moore and leave Cutler on the sidelines at this point. I know you paid him a bunch of money, but Cutler's not helping you at this point.
No, Cutler's not helping you. And if you don't have that much faith in Matt Moore, then you need to go out and potentially find another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, because the Dolphins held Doug Martin down. It was just the passing game with Ryan Fitzpatrick was working. And if I'm Jameis Winston, you're watching that. Your team's functioning without you. Watch it. Watch it now.
Yeah, and the word just came that he's not coming back Sunday. He's going to be reevaluated. So, this, I don't know. Hopefully this isn't necessarily the end of Jameis Winston with the Bucs, because he did have such a promising start and a good future, but at this point, all three Florida teams are going to have very muddled situations at quarterback.
Yeah, speaking of a muddled quarterback situation, give me a great segue there. The Blaine Gabbert and Drew Stanton situation gets more muddled because until the fourth quarter, when Blaine Gabbert showed the old Blaine Gabbert and threw 2 consecutive interceptions, he had thrown for 3 touchdowns and was sort of just pacing his way through the game. And I think you also have to give Bruce Arians a little bit on the play calling too. But Adrian Peterson also wasn't here for Gabbert much in this game. I think he did what he could. But it certainly shows that if they don't have the running game, the Cardinals are not the same. On the other end, though, Houston did have the running game, but Deonta Foreman has a torn Achilles tendon, and he is done for the year.
Yeah, another just terrible injury, and they're really starting to mount up for these teams. And in a conference, especially like the ASC, where just about everybody's still in play, that makes them even more critical. So just, eesh.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to, like, this is a game, again, the Cardinals could have won, but you make some bad decisions. The coach doesn't help you along either. And I think you got to give Tom Savage for all the crap that people were giving him. He put the team in situations to win. He was 22 at 32. He threw 2 touchdowns. Deonta Foreman was incredible in this game. He had the touchdown that sealed it and everything. And then just really unfortunate to see him go down. It just really sucks for him because he was starting to come on. And you had a really great 1-2 with him and Miller. And now it's gone due to the injury bug,
Yeah, the injury bug tends to bite a little bit harder this time of year.
This one you could say it's been biting through the whole year, honestly.
Yeah, it's been starting pretty much since week 1, so.
Yeah, and one of the biggest injury bugs, Aaron Rodgers. You felt it in this game because Brett Hundley, you're at home, and boy, 6 sacks on him. He throws multiple interceptions. You have your running back fumbling. The Ravens defense, finally look at the Ravens defense again. But the Ravens offense, good God. They were just as bad. Joe Flacco, they may want to Ravens might want to start figuring out if they can do something with that contract because he has looked so bad this year.
Ever since he got that Super Bowl win and got that payday, he's just pretty much shut down. Now, think about this. The Packers have played at Lambeau for a very long time. This is the first time they've been shut out at Lambeau or even at home since 2006. For an even bigger stat, the Packers have been in existence for a very, very long time. The last time that they scored no points and committed at least 5 turnovers, 1949.
God, our parents weren't even thought of it.
Oh, my mom was 2. Yeah, my dad wasn't even thought of, though.
Yeah, my mom and dad were not born yet.
So just put that in perspective when everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers and working out and potentially coming back. This is what you're getting now. And look at what you're getting with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying, folks.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They appreciate Aaron Rodgers. They know what he is. They know he masks a lot of their problems. And that was shown in this game. Brett Hundley is not up to snuff. And the Ravens defense absolutely clobbered him for it. And to just put up a whole goose egg, just bad at home. The Browns didn't do themselves any favors either. The Jaguars defense was absolutely incredible in this game.
Yeah.
Okay, yes they were, because the offense was crap.
Yeah.
Look, Kaiser threw a touchdown to Duke Johnson, but that's all you allowed. You forced him into 2 interceptions.
It shouldn't have been that close, though.
No, it shouldn't have, but that's on your offense.
And that's why I said Blake Bortles is done.
Yeah, I don't think he's done because you have crap behind him. But
yeah, guess what? The Jaguars are going to be in the market for 2 quarterbacks come this season.
Hey, but you still have a season to talk about. You're 7-3. Come on now.
Yeah, 7-3, first place this late in the season since 1999. And needless to say, 1999 was a fantastic season with a terrible ending. A very terrible ending.
I mean, that could be the case for the Jaguars here, but certainly I think with the schedule they also have, it bodes very well for the Jaguars. I just think this defense is legit. They certainly showed it. Forcing 2 fumbles, one of them run back for a touchdown. The 2 interceptions I mentioned, they were just absolutely, mauling him. I think Myles Garrett deserves credit for the strip sack that he got on Bortles, and that defense kept the team in it. But I think the Jaguars are just that much better defensively.
Yeah, when you're going up against a defense that now in 4 games, during their 4-game winning streak, they've allowed 31 points. That's
amazing. That's a pretty nice number if you're the Jags here.
I don't know. Maybe if Tyrod Taylor doesn't work out in Buffalo, he could come here and do something.
Maybe. Yeah, that's not bad. Not a bad thought at all. There's always the thought, too, that, what if they trade Eli Manning, but...
No. Eli Manning would not come here.
I don't know. Maybe if he likes Coughlin enough.
But
your glory days with the Giants are pretty much numbered.
Yeah, but he's 36.
Hey, we've seen quarterbacks older do something. Get
He ain't
wins.
one of them.
You're probably not wrong, but I'm just saying it's better than Bortles or Henny or anybody else you're gonna trot out there.
Yeah, he's better than Bortles and Henny, but we're not going to get in a situation where Steve DeBerg is going to trot out onto the field at 44. Yeah, we don't do that here in Jacksonville. We're not that desperate yet.
We'll see if they get desperate. I mean, they're gonna do well. I mean, that quarterback class is supposed to be deep, so you never know. You might hit on one. But yeah, let's get through the 3 blowouts on the day with games that were supposed to be actually, interesting. The first one of those is, of course, the Buffalo Bills, who trotted out Nathan Peterman because supposedly Tyrod Taylor wasn't up to snuff. He has one bad game, and you decide to bench him. Well, Nathan Peterman, what does he do? Throws 5 interceptions.
Didn't he have about as many interceptions as completions?
Yeah, but he's also tossed more interceptions in his first start than Tyrod Taylor and Tom Brady have thrown the entire year. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say they're lucky they benched him at halftime because I'm thinking to myself, the NFL record for interceptions in the game is about in the 7 or 8 range. Do you finally realize, hey, we were stupid and put in Tyrod Taylor, or do you keep him out there and have a run at history?
I don't know, but this is just so dumb to do. Absolutely one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. You're in playoff contention.
Correct.
You are not a team. This is not the Giants. You're not 2-8. Okay? You're not the Browns. You're not the 49ers. You are in playoff contention. And you go and switch quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor comes in and helps get the other points that got put on the board. I mean, yeah, by that point the Chargers, knew that they had the game in hand, but it's just like, come on. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, and you can blame the defense for this one all you want, but if you're going to throw 5 interceptions, the defense never gets to get off the field. I mean, come on now. I just don't think this was on the defense at all. The Bills are 5-5 because you make a dumb mistake. Now, if Taylor had been out there and threw 5 interceptions, okay.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have thrown 5 interceptions. He had a lot more mobility. He would have negotiated the pressure from Joey Bosa a lot better. I mean, that would have been a very competitive game, as you saw in the second half. But no. You do this overreacting to something needless, and you're potentially throwing away your first playoff appearance since '99.
Yeah, now you help the Chargers because they come in and they beat a Cowboys team that it's going to be without all of its, the star players that were not there for the Eagles game, and you're putting them back in contention. They're 5-6. So you got another team you got to contend with for the playoffs now because you're dumb and decided to play Peterman.
Yeah, they're 5-6. Their division is easier. They win a good out of division road game, or hey, they win in Dallas. They win in Kansas City. All of a sudden, that division's a race.
Yeah, and then this doesn't. I just don't, for the life of me, understand this. And not to mention, if you've seen Peterman at Tennessee, the dude is a great practice quarterback, but when it comes to going out there and on game day, he's awful. He's not up to snuff, and just whatever.
Exactly. What he did at Pitt does not translate to the NFL.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense here. And I'm just dumbfounded at that decision, really. Now, speaking of the Cowboys that I mentioned earlier, they got absolutely spanked at
Ooh.
home by the Eagles. There's no way around that. Dak had his worst game as a Cowboy ever, throwing multiple interceptions. Again, this is a team that is used to playing. If you give this team a lead, forget about it. If they make you start throwing the ball, you're in trouble. That's what they did. Alfred Morris actually had a decent game, but that wasn't enough when the defense couldn't stop anyone. And you did have opportunities where, you could have made decisions. That 4th and 2, when you don't go for it, Jason Garrett, what are you thinking at that point? You have to be aggressive against teams that are aggressive against you.
Yeah. That game was 9-7 at the half. And I got a little bit of a bone to pick with the Eagles, actually. If you're up late in that game, why don't you trot out that backup linebacker to kick an extra point? He was doing well on kickoffs.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just, you can go sign another kicker if Jake Elliott has to miss more than this game. And it's not like they don't have a ton of kickers out there on the scrap heap.
No,
and then,
I get that for future reference, but I mean,
but you were rolling. Why not do the 2-point conversions? It's not like it would have hurt you.
I just think I would have liked to see him try it once.
So you would have wanted to see him do the Jeff Heath.
And Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Heath was another guy that was not available for the Cowboys in this game. But, yeah, I mean, Derek Barnett was a force. The Cowboys did much better in giving Dak time, but other than Dez, nobody was really available. And, yeah, just this was just getting beat again. Just absolutely getting beat again by a much better team. And the Eagles are 9-1 for a reason. And the Cowboys have just felt this cloud hanging over them of all the guys that they're missing. So they'll have to do this quick. Thanksgiving's coming around fast, and the Chargers are also a formidable defensive line you got to deal with. So this is
and doing all this on a short week.
Exactly. You might get lucky and Tyron Smith is back, but maybe not. And everybody else for sure is not going to be. The Patriots and Raiders both went down to Mexico. The Bill Belichick went on record saying that he is not a big fan of playing a game in Mexico, that they are exhausted after this week, that it took everything from everyone in the organization to pull through. I don't know how much of that is overblown at this point, but the Patriots sure didn't seem like it. Tom Brady, 30 of 37 passing, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks had a heck of a day. Dion Lewis was running the ball like nobody's business as well, and catching balls. This Raiders defense is awful.
Yeah.
It's just awful, and the receivers don't help Derek Carr at all either.
No, at this point it's gone beyond their secondary. It's really outside of your defensive line. You have nothing. And Amari Cooper has gone underground. Maybe he did something and is in witness protection. I don't know.
Yeah, really.
Insane. I mean, when your biggest headline is your running back standing for one anthem and sitting for another, you know you've had a bad day.
That's also sad. But yeah, but whatever floats your boat.
I mean, it's beast mode. I get it, so nothing against him. And I'm not saying anything on that note, but I'm saying that's their headline, not Raiders bounce back, not Raiders with hard-fought effort in Estadio Azteca. It's that and Raiders lose 33-8.
Yep. And the Steelers will be without one of their offensive tackles, Marcus Gilbert. He's serving a 4-game suspension for performance-enhancing substances violation. And you also have Ray Maluga getting dropped from the team for a battery charge that he got over the weekend.
Yeah, you beat up people. It's like, yeah, you gotta go.
Idiots, I tell you. Just plain idiots. You'd think that they didn't play a sport where they make millions of dollars. You know,
Hey,
they pay you enough for you not to do stupid things.
Yeah, just give me a couple % of that money and I'll be
Yeah,
smart.
really. You know how many people wish that you made that money and you don't? You make dumb decisions. I get, it's a very emotional game and people get frustrated by things and all that, but it's just, I don't know. Either way, I think that concludes our look at the week that was. We might just go ahead and do the preview tomorrow because obviously we're not going to be doing Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That's Thanksgiving. Depending on how things go, we might come back on like Friday and do the Thanksgiving games just to get those out of the way so we don't have to do those on the Monday. But yeah, Tuesday we'll be back and go ahead and do your preview for Week 12, which includes 3 games on Thursday, and then your Sunday and the Monday night game that we got to cover for next week. Woo, what a doozy! The Texans and the Ravens. You ready for that?
Oh, ESPN, save yourself some money and throw in the towel right now. Go in and renegotiate.
Well, they can't flex those games because those are work days and people are not.
I'm not saying flex the games. I'm just saying, you're not getting some kind of matchups on Monday Night Football. Maybe you give a peace offering of not even having Monday Night Football.
That's a tradition, man. That's a tradition.
No, I'm not saying get rid of it altogether. I'm saying have it not on ESPN. Maybe the NFL would care that way.
Well, it is what it is. I think it's every team has to be on Monday Night Football. I think that's the rule also. So.
No, it isn't. That's Thursday night.
Well, every team has to be on some kind of national game. And I think they do try to get a lot of teams on Monday Night Football. And they also base it off of playoffs the previous year as well. So, that happens sometimes. The one year from the other. We've seen it with so many teams this year. They change. Injuries happen. This has been the year for injuries, it feels like. Especially for stars. I don't know how many times they panned over to Chancellor and Sherman during the Seahawks and Falcons game. So, yeah. Get prepared for that some more.
I can imagine what this would mean if the Jaguars end up on Monday night next season.
Oh, boy. There will be a lot of happy people because I know some Jaguars fans that are so mad that the only national game they ever get is the London game at 9:30. And the one Thursday night game or something usually.
I'm typically not mad. This place is just a madhouse regardless.
Well, until we'll see you again the next day here. If you enjoyed what you heard, sorry for technical difficulties, and also this is kind of a little later than we usually do this, and I think we're both kind of fried. I don't know. We were sort of stumbling through this. Sorry about that, but we will certainly try to do better on Tuesday. Until then, hit that subscribe button if you like what you heard. Subscribe to the WTM Network for all of our other podcasts that we do, and have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you later.
Peace. Enjoy your turkey.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.